Yeah. Yeah. Hang on.
Okay, so we are with Debbie Porteous in Peterborough, Ontario. I'm in London, Ontario, rarely. And I've been wanting to have this conversation for a long time. Debbie reached out to me through Instagram, and I'm so grateful as I feel like I'm looking at you, are one of just the most magical people. There's like a group of magical people who are doing great things by disrupting everything we've sort of known in their particular niche and saying, yeah, everything we've been told about this, I'm going to look into it. What I tried to use didn't work for me. I'm going to make my own. And it appeals to me because that's what Hot Flash Inc. is. I couldn't find my information.
Yeah.
And so I did my own thing. And so I'm going to stop rambling. I'm so excited. We've got so much to talk about.
We do.
Thank you for talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
You have created a product called Pleasure Pods. There's so much to unpack about how we got here. But let's just start with how you decided that the lubricants on the market were no good for you.
And I'm so glad you started there because when I met my partner, Brian, who I'm in this business with as well, he introduced me to a lubricant that he'd been using, and it was actually a solid. And it was made out of a little store here in Peterborough. And her name was Alex, and her store used to be called Simple. And she was wonderful. And she made these downstairs in her retail store. And they were actually sold as massage bars, but you could also use them as lubricants. And it was got some shea butter and a few things in there. And we swore by them. I mean, we had tried different lubes. Nothing had worked. And I was at that time, when I met him, I was having issues because at that time, I had never had an orgasm when I met him at 53. And, he had issues finding my clitoris.
Okay. I need to stop you. I need to stop you, Debbie.
Yep.
You had never had an orgasm until 53. How did this happen?
Well, you know what? That's a great question. I'm sure that my ex-boyfriends or that might be listening to this won't be thrilled, but I never played with myself. I never masturbated myself. So I didn't understand my body. I didn't ever even take a mirror and look down and see what is it all about. So, and I didn't do that because growing up, I was always told, you don't do that. You don't touch yourself. That's dirty. It's not healthy. And even when I used to talk about my menstrual in my house, my father would say, that's not a topic you talk about. So it was always shamed. It was never spoken about in our house. It was never expressed in our house. And that's just how I grew up. So when, discovering myself and masturbating was just never, ever in my head, a thing to do.
And if you had sexual relationships, did you fake it or did you what happened?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I faked it. You know what I mean? I didn't know what it was about and so forth. And, I got to admit, I had some really beautiful encounters. But I think for me, it was to feel safe. I never felt safe with any of the gentlemen I was with. So, and I was with a lot of beautiful gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. They were, but there was just something that was there that, I had one gentleman I was with for a long time. And for many years, he used to turn to me and say, if you don't like it, there's the door. And, people sit there and go, why would you stay? It's a great question. It's a really good question. And, I look back at it and go, it was some security for me. I was going through a lot of issues within my family, within the businesses I was in. There was a lot going on, and he was overall very good to me, but there was just those elements where I just didn't feel safe. So I couldn't let myself go. And I used to use, and I'll be the first one to admit, I used to use sex as a controlling tool. And that's how I would almost control the men I was with. is I'm like, okay, if you don't do this for me, I'm not going to give you this. Because I did that because I didn't know what it was about. I never had an orgasm. I didn't see the value of it as a health benefit and so much more. So that's what I did instead. And I will be the first one to admit it. I didn't have an easy bringing up, not that a lot of people have. You know, my mother left me when I was 8. I have abandonment issues. I have, you know what I mean? My mom has severe bipolar. So there's mental illness in my family. So there was a lot of components. And through all of that, discovering that I have ADHD. So everything along those lines did not help that whole process. And the more I'm talking now with sex therapists, they're saying you having ADHD can also really affect your sexual well-being. And I really believe that it was just a combination of many things, abandonment, ADHD, and then also my background of, you know, you don't talk about that, being shameful, all that kind of stuff, and then not feeling safe. It was a combined effort of all those things that I just could never have an orgasm.
So that brought you to 53 and awareness. You didn't have an awareness that these things were existing, right?
No,
okay.
no.
So this brings you to 53 and meeting your partner now. This is where we get to. Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about Brian and your invisible clitoris.
So Brian is probably, he's so familiar with female anatomy in regards to that. It's unbelievable. And he loves females' anatomy. He just loves them. I've never met a man that's more into female anatomy than this man. And he is all about pleasing the woman first. And I mean, nothing mattered. He didn't care. He didn't care about himself. He just loved pleasing the woman because he loved seeing the response that women would get. And that to him was his orgasm.
Wow.
And so because of that, he was so patient with me and he helped me work through finding my clitoris, working at it slowly, even vaginally. I hadn't had sex for almost a year. So at 53, as I'm just going through and starting menopause, it was really sealed up. So it was a lot of work that we had to do. So with that, lubricant was key for us. Okay. And so with these little pods that we had and we discovered, what happened is in 2017, her building burnt down. And Alex decided not to move forward with her business. And we were like, oh, what are we going to do for a lubricant? So off we went back because now we said, okay, there's going to be lots of little options. And we went to Cambodia during this time and we had lots of her pods. But when we came back in 2019, around the end of the year, we were like, what are we going to do? So we hunted and hunted and hunted. We tried new ones out there, the aloe vera ones. We tried, nothing worked. Everything was either too sticky or it just, we had to keep reapplying. And that interrupts the whole, session, as I like to call them, and the mood. And then we finally came down to coconut oil. I said, nothing's working. Let's just go to coconut oil. We did that for a while, probably over a year, and it was not doing it for me anymore. It just was, you know what I mean? It was, first of all, it was creating a huge mess because we had to keep using a lot. And because it's so liquidy, it doesn't tend to give your vaginal enough moisture and hydration. And with ours, there's fats to do. It just would just run quickly, and it's an oil. So it just did not give me that absorption that I needed to lubricate myself. So it would be all over me. It was staining the sheets. So I would start worrying. And I just said to Brian, enough. We have to create something similar to what we used to have, but something that is going to be even better. So Brian went to work and he researched and developed it with a little bit of my help, but I'm going to say it was mostly Brian. And it took us over 2 years to find this. And this was interesting. This was during the pandemic. So this was kind of, as Brian says, it was kind of a good thing because when you're dealing with researchers, we were talking to people in Thailand. We were talking to some people in Guelph University, some professors. various other people that were connecting us to other people. And through that, we wouldn't have been able to speak to half of these people because, you know, if they were not during the pandemic, they were really busy. But the pandemic seemed to have slowed everything down, and it gave people more opportunity to chat with us and share things with us. I am not going to share with you one or two things here because we have a secret sauce with our product, that it's a process. It's not because everything that we say in our ingredients is exactly in our ingredients, but it's a process that we use that really helps to solidify our product. And it's something that we keep to ourselves because we just don't want competitors and so forth, because it's an all natural, 100% plant-based. We went into a store recently because we've been doing a tour of Ontario to the adult stores. And we said, you know, there's no other plant-based product out there. And she pulls one out, and I'm not going to name names because I don't like to do that. And she said to me, well, this one is. And I looked at the ingredients and I went, it's got beeswax in it. This is not 100% plant-based. Mm-hmm. So, and I think this is what's happening in the plant-based world, is that people are not as well educated on what plant-based means. And beeswax is not plant. If they were using maple syrup, okay, but they're not. They're using bees. So this is really important for people to understand really what plant-based is. And we were actually in the Planted Expo here in Toronto that was happening in April. And we were the only personal lubricant there because we are the only 100% plant-based product. So, and the only people that cannot use our product right now is if you have an allergy to mango, you cannot use our product. Number two is if you need to be using a condom, which we always promote, you cannot use our product. We are right now in the process of working with the labs in New Jersey that do all these testings for, with the certification of condoms with lubricants. Okay. They're the ones that actually do this. So we failed our first one, but we actually have done our test here and blown up condoms. We have laced them with our product and even our individual butters. 6 days for them to burst. Okay. This was all materials. So then we decided that we're going to go to the labs and just get them to test latex. It did not pass. What they're saying is that it's the pounding, right? You can sit there and lace it, but it's that friction and the pounding combo that's where we're failing. So we don't know because we are using less than 1% of oils. This product is made up of over 99% butters, between the mango butter, the cocoa, like the chocolate, and the kokum butter. And the kokum butter is from the mangosteen plant. And you know, you've probably seen them in your where we are, but in where we were in Southeast Asia, they're huge. They're all over the place, and they're really yummy because when you open them up, they've got like a white fleshy with a little bit of seed in there, and that's where the butter comes from, is in the seeds, right? Same with the mango; it's in the seeds because they have little seeds inside the seed, and then of course cocoa. Everyone knows their cocoa, right? So, and we use high grade butters too. We're going to go organic, but organic can be very tricky sometimes when you're utilizing it, because you got to understand we are melting and then bringing it up the temperature and melting. So you have to be very particular. And so we decided not to go down the organic route, but we are using the highest quality butters and oils within our products. We do source them from companies here in Toronto, but they get theirs also from India and different parts of the world.
Okay, so you sent me some. I haven't been able to use them because I've been on the road, but I can see we're talking about a body butter, but a solid body butter. If you can imagine, like not a bar of soap, but like a bar, you know? Yeah, you can show us.
Yeah, so this is what it looks like.
She's showing us, and what I'm looking at is sort of like a half for the podcast. It's sort of like a half circle and it's solid. It's just a solid. And then you put it where you need it.
That's right.
Also, you use these to moisturize your vagina as well, right? You use
Absolutely. So sometimes so as I say, you use them before, during, and after. So, and it really is, because if someone has, gone down on you, and you know what I mean, and they might have a little bit of a beard, or it might have a little bit of scruffiness or whatever, you might just get a little bit dryness there. It is really nice afterwards to put it on that area. I went and got sugared the other day on my legs, and around my vulval and everything else, and I actually put it on there because I had some red marks and stuff like that, because I'm sensitive, and within 30 minutes or less, it was gone.
Wow.
So, and what people need to understand is that why we chose these particular butters, and we worked with a formulator. And we went through a lot of testing to kind of see, is this the right, because we had to think about butters that will help harden it, but also give you that you can melt it too. That's one thing about this. That's what I did this morning. When we get rid of our little, and we have little pieces after we've been putting it on our body, right? We'll have little pieces, and we'll just put them in a little cup, and then we'll microwave them. And you can do the whole same thing with this. You can microwave the whole one in a little dish, and you can just dip your hand in and put it all over your body. And I tell you, it's kind of warm. And as a massage, Brian did it for me the other day, because I was just like, I really need some on my body. And he massaged it in, and it feels so good. And this is something, like, you use oil, most people, when they have massages, and you kind of want to just have a shower and take it off. You don't want to do this with this one. This one is, because mango butter actually helps the production of collagen. So if you can look this up anywhere, it's exactly what it does. It also has a lot of omegas and vitamins, K, D, E. There's so many good components within mango. And then with the cocoa, you've got a lot of nutrients and hydration that helps with the skin. And then the cocoa butter actually allows you, it opens up the pores. So allowing the product to absorb into the pores. And that's what you're looking for as a combination. And as a lubricant, what's so nice about this is that because butters are fats, so it actually sits on top of the skin for a period of time before absorbing.
Okay.
And so as I'm just rubbing my hand right now, you can see, right? Ooh. And I didn't use a lot.
Right.
And so you don't need a lot. And again, it just depends on what you're doing. You can apply this to any toys. And I tell you, I wish we had more toys when I was young, because I would have discovered a lot more with it myself if I had toys. So I'm a big component of toys, and I'm so glad. Brian and I have been touring. I think we've been to over 50 adult stores in a month. And we have discovered that the amount of toys out there is spectacular. It's like me going into a candy store. That's exactly what they are. And I got to be honest with you guys, adult stores are not like when I used to know adult stores. Mm-hmm. Not creepy. They're not dark. They're not like scary. Like, oh my gosh, is man going to come up to me and talk to me about this?
Oh my God. No, you walk in there, someone's like, hey, can I help you? You go in there and you're like, I haven't even been having pleasure, because these people are all about, there is no judgment, right? There's none in there. Yeah.
There's none, and they're bright and they're warm, and they're like, we go into one, it was like a department store.
Yeah.
And it was just, and I'm serious, it was like going into a department store. It wasn't like you were going into an adult store.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really love. And these people in there, they want to help you. They want to educate you. There's amazing things going on. And yeah. I am so thrilled to see this happening.
I love to go up to the wall of like the weirdest stuff and look at it and have them come over and just be like, so you're in the market for, and I just love it, because
right?
You could literally talk about anything.
Yeah.
So basically, I want to touch on the industry, the lubricant industry. We haven't really talked about this on the podcast. The only thing we've really talked about is in interviews with compounding, about the compounding pharmacy and bioidentical vaginal hormones, vaginal estrogen, and how in the regular vaginal estrogen, there can be a lot of products that people can react badly to. That's really the only thing we've touched on. Yeah. But when it comes to lubricants, what, from your perspective in researching all this and then using all of them, what is your take on the products and everything?
I mean, listen, I'm a component. I say to people, you know, coconut oil is a good option, because it is all natural. But again, we have to keep in mind it is an oil, and it can help. But I'm looking for something that can be a little bit more helping our walls vaginally. And as I talk to gynecologists, and you might already know, Emery, is that anything that's inserted vaginally absorbs 5 times quicker than it does externally, right? So when you have a product, okay, water-based is not going to do anything for you, right? It's water. So, and I have a dish right here right now that I've had out now for 4 days. And the dish was, and when I say dish, I'm just going to quickly show you. So where's my water base? Here we go. So see, little dish. So I put water base into here. And when I started about 4 days ago, it was probably half. So
Okay.
it's already
So
gone
half of
down.
it is evaporated,
It's already evaporated.
which means
Okay.
that that's what would be absorbed into your body.
That is correct.
Basically.
Okay. And it, or just evaporated because if it's on the outside too, it just evaporates, right?
Yeah.
But interesting enough, and this is my study's going to do that, but we've already done this study, but Brian and I didn't do enough of the stats. When we did this, when we first started, I'm going to say probably a year and a half ago, Brian took a bunch of different lubes and did exactly this and let them sit for 7 to 14 days. One of the lubes was afterwards, it was like, there was no water left. It was like jelly. It was like a icky jelly. And that's what was left. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're putting on our body. This little jelly is what we're putting on our body. So that is one thing. And water-based, it gets sticky. It's not going to help women going through the menopause and so forth. And I'll tell you, this is half the reason why we created this product, is because I was going through menopause and nothing was working for me. So silicone, great. They do last a little bit longer, but it's a silicone, right? So silicone is, you don't want that absorbing too much into your skin and so forth, right? It's not the best thing. It's not bad, but it's not the best thing. And then no one's doing oil anymore. There's very little oil. As we've been researching all these 50 adult stores and talking to people that work this every day, they're not doing a lot of oil anymore. It's just like become almost like a no. But you've got your hybrids, right? Where they've got a little bit of silicone and so forth. But oil is oil. So we want something that's actually going to hydrate and nourish and help with the production of collagen vaginally. So I did a little test where we have these of our pods, we have these little square little samples. And I actually inserted them every day into my vagina. And when I went to bed, and I put underwear on just in case anything had come out. And most cases it didn't, but some nights it did. And holy moly, was I lubricant. Holy Jesus. I couldn't believe it. Like I ended up having to stop after 5 days because I was really lubricant. So I was just like going, okay. And it was unbelievable what it did for me. And it actually helped open it up a little bit more and not have as much dryness. But I will tell you, I can't say anything about the thinning of the walls because, you know, if I maybe kept doing it, maybe it would help, but I can't say that. But I did want to try that just to see, because I've had several women come up to me who have had severe UTIs when they have intercourse, and to the point where they're taking 7 cranberry pills at a time so they can have it and not have any infections afterwards with UTIs. She tried our product, no issue.
Wow. Okay.
Because when you have water-based, water will carry bacteria. Bacteria then goes into the yeast infections, the UTIs, and because it's carrying bacteria. Our product, which has absolutely 0 water. So if you take this and dump it in a cup of water, it just floats. There's no interaction with water at all. So it's great for water play. You can play with this in water. So that's where the difference is with the other lubricants out there. There's really nothing out there. Now, I'm going to come back to this and say, there are some products since I've done this testing that have come out, and certain brands that will help through menopause. I personally have not tried them, but I see them out there that saying this is great for menopause. So I cannot speak to those ones, but I can definitely speak to the ones I've tried, which are the ones we've seen on the market for a long time that are silicone, water-based, and hybrid. And then, of course, coconut oil, and it has not worked. And I will tell you, we did a survey with 50 people, asking people what lubricant they use. I'm going to say over half of them was coconut oil.
Right. So that's an indication, because even when they say like organic and whatever, I find that those can be irritating if you, right? Like there's a little bit of irritation from, and you're like, this bottle says, but when you look at the ingredients, there's quite a few ingredients still in it.
There is. And what I'm going to be doing is every 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing a whole analysis through Instagram, on the social media, and I'll be also sharing it on our website on my findings. So what the ingredients was, what is the ingredients? Like, what is this word? You know what I mean? I can't even pronounce half of them. What really is it? So that they can see it. And I will not be saying brands. I'm not doing that. To me, it's just about the water-based, the silicone base, and the hybrids. I don't care what brand they are, and I'm never going to say it because I wouldn't want someone to do that to us. But I just want people to be aware of the names of the ingredients of what's being used and what they are and the result of it. So here's the ingredients of this one. This is what's happened to it. And these are what each ingredient is. So, and then you're going to see more of this on our website as we're slowly changing our website because we're introducing another product, and we want to give more education on mango butter, you know, the kokum and the cocoa, just of health benefits to the skin and also internally. So, and I keep saying to people, you can't feel bad in putting a 100% plant-based into your vagina or into anal. You just can't. Yeah. And this is, I've had so many people coming back to us saying for anal sex, this is amazing. So, because again, it's hydrating, nourishing, and it's helping produce collagen.
Okay. I had a question and I've lost my train of thought. Let me think. I think it's because you said anal and then I got sidetracked. I'm still very immature.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I guess what you would be doing on that is education that is sorely needed, because it's what those nutritionists are all doing when they're taking the label and saying, what's this? This is the dye, and this is what the dye does. You're just doing the same thing. It's really, really necessary. So, okay. I want to go back to your 53 and you met Brian, because I don't feel like I got the end of this story. We talked about it a little bit before. There's a lot of women out there in this position, or they're just not having the sex that they would like. So you met him and he was all into you. You met the magical unicorn, but there's men out there like this. I don't think they're magical unicorns. I just think you have to look a little bit for them. And you said to me before we went on the air, he couldn't really find your clitoris. You hadn't used it and it was almost gone. So just, can you walk me from there?
Yeah. I mean, it was non-existing. I mean, he was just like, and I was like, what do you mean? And I almost said to him, what do you mean clitoris? What are you talking about? I didn't even know. So he's been educating me. So I said, what is it? He says, well, honey, it's this little spot here. And I'm like, oh, okay. So through a little bit of time, he just kept playing at it and just working at it. And it didn't take too long, but it finally did arise. So, and since then, I mean, you can play a toy on my clitoris and I can have an orgasm in less than 1 minute.
So he worked with you. How long did it take of a patient man and your willingness, and you felt safe?
You know, I think for Brian and I, and one thing we talk about it is that communication, especially when it comes to this, is you need to not hold this in. You need to be able to express what you need, what you're feeling. When I met Brian, I wouldn't talk hardly at all when we were having our sessions. I just wouldn't. He's like, well, would you like this? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Like I didn't know how to communicate when we're even in the session. And now you can't stop me. So because he's built my confidence, and then I've built my confidence, and then Brian and I, because we both had sex with several people in our lives, we really like to bring toys in. We like to change things up because especially for me, because not having an orgasm until 53, I've got a lot to explore. I've missed out a long, long time. My little 18-year-old vagina is just like going, hello, right? So I want to explore all these things. And I want to try different things because I think that's always what I wanted to do, but I was always shamed not to do it, right? And I never had anybody that really cared enough to want to do it and to communicate and to share that. So as Brian and I, finally got working through, the clitoris coming out, the vagina slowly opening it. And you got to guys remember, I was at the beginning of menopause and going through menopause and in post-menopause during all of this. So when I discovered that I can have an orgasm while starting menopause for the first time in my life. So I want to come back to women and say, please don't let menopause stop you from having pleasure. And I say this because I know so many women that they're saying, well, it hurts vaginally. Well, then play with your clitoris. Your clitoris is going to give you the orgasm, not the inside. And if a man comes back and goes, well, that's how he has to get off. You know what? Let's get rid of this myth because that has been going around way too long. All we've known all of our life is one area, and it's called a vagina. I'm sorry. No, enough is enough. Women have a clitoris, they have a vulva, and they have a vagina. So, and they also have anal. So we have all these different things, and we need to bring awareness to it, especially women through menopause, because we have been taught that they have to be in vaginally for us to have an orgasm. And I'm sorry, that is bullshit. And please go and get a toy. Go and play with your clitoris because that is what's going to give you the pleasure. You don't need to be in pain with inserting something vaginally when you're going through the menopause, right? And so I just really want to say that. And toys, my favorite, and I always have to say it, and there's different brands out there now, and it was the first toy to ever be done by Hitachi, is the magic wand. I think if I'm correct, it was in the early 80s that the magic wand came out from Hitachi, and it still today is out there as the magic wand with a lot of other imitators out there, and they do a pretty good job too. Women, go get it on that clitoris, get some Pleasure Pod on too, because Pleasure Pod is good with all toys. Rub it on there, put a little bit on the clitoris. Trust me, it is going to give you what every woman deserves.
I'm just I'm blown away by what you're saying, because one thing that concerns me is women are just being told, if you pay attention to social media, that it's just irreversible. That you were saying you literally brought your vagina back to life.
I did.
The use of the vagina. And I
Yeah.
talked to a doctor in LA this week, and she said, you need to use it. You really do need to use it, because while you're using it, that's the same as going to the gym. Those orgasms are creating contractions and creating blood flow. And you are living proof that with diligence and attention and awareness, because so this goes contrary to the sort of dire negative messaging about our vaginas that we face in midlife, all of everything in midlife. So it's entirely possible, right? Like it's entirely, you did it.
And yes, I'm so glad you said, because I truly, before I met Brian, I had come to the conclusion, I've listened to Oprah Winfrey about it. I had come to the conclusion I was never going to have an orgasm. It's just never going to have I wasn't going to be one of those women. I was never going to have an orgasm. And I have to say, it's also a mindset, right? It's also a mindset. But there is so much out there right now. Please go into adult stores. Please go into them and talk to people in there. There's so many women in there that can educate and help you to understand and give you products that will help you. But I want to come back to women and say, don't fear it, because you don't need to be able to, you don't have to have something inserted vaginally. Because for us, as going through the menopause, and I still have it myself, it can be painful. The walls are thinning. Yes, it's tighter to go in. It hurts, right? But there are things out there to help you with that. But to me, get to know your clitoris. Get toys, because I'm telling you, Brian amazes me. I have multiple orgasms. So, and I'm even a squirter. So
God.
yes, I'm 61 now. So please do not give up on yourself, because I know for me and for someone who didn't have an orgasm all my life until 53, it's like when you have an orgasm, it's like a fog in your head. Like you have a fog before you have it, right? You have a fog, it's all the foggy and, stress, whatever it is. As soon as you have that, it's like this flush. All the fog goes away. Everything, your mind is clearer. It's like, oh my God. So that's how I know I never had an orgasm before, because I never experienced that. And I keep coming back to, if anything, and this is what I come back to women going through menopause, because we're so stressed as it is, we're going through so many hormones and so many changes in our body, that if anything, we need an orgasm more than anything through this, right? Because of mental health, helps depression, helps with pain. I was talking to Dr. Carolyn Klein, who is also a sex therapist, and she's on Instagram as well too. She's out of BC, and she's been really educating about that, saying it can help with chronic back pain. It can help with menstrual cramps. There's just endless things that orgasms can do for us as a health benefit. And she's even saying, from a couple of the researchers, is that there have been research that saying that orgasms can create better results than some of your major painkillers. So, and this is testing that has been done through a various researcher out of the States, and her name is Nicole Prause, Prause. And this is where Dr. Carolyn Klein found her information. I researched it as well. It has been fascinating to find this out. So, and I think that if doctors could just be a little less on the medication and say, get a toy, get a good lubricant, get a mirror, go down and take a look. I'm reading a book right now that I recommend to every woman out there that's going through menopause, called Becoming Clitoris. Becoming Clitoris. And it is about the language that has been used in our world to why we've become today, and how she is trying to change that language. And she has been teaching at the University of Indiana, I think it is, in somewhere in the United States. And this book, and I'll be sharing a lot of it on our posts on social media and also on our website, because I can't put this book down. You know how you highlight a book because there's all these interesting points? This book, I've only read 4 chapters. It's mostly highlighted everywhere. I cannot believe the vast amount of information that is in there, that it's opened my eyes even more. So there's so much out there. Don't give up hope, because you can do it. And make sure, and the person you're going to feel the safest with is yourself. And do not feel ashamed. And I went in there, and there's even coming out with, when I was younger, one of my girlfriends said to me, Deb, I actually use the shower head to help me have an orgasm. Back then, but when toys weren't really big, right? I'm like, really? Oh, that's kind of odd. Okay. But now I can't remember what company has come out with it, but they've come out with a special shower head thing for women. I'm like, this is great. You know what I mean? Like, yes. So there's just too much out there for us not to be playing and experimenting with ourselves.
It's really an representation of how we need to pay attention to ourselves. This is one of the ultimate ways, because many of us are walking around disconnected from here. And
Yes.
If you're disconnected from there, I really don't know how we can expect things to work. And I know myself when I'm paying attention to that part of myself, as opposed to when I'm not, right? I'm busy and I don't want to take the time, like things start to go sideways.
They do. And one thing that Brian said to me, and he was told from his doctor a long time ago, he says, you lose it if you don't use it. You know what I mean? He says, use it as much as you can, and because you will lose it. And it's true. If you talk to a lot of men over 60, even 55, it's harder for them to keep it up. And you know what I mean? To keep it hard, they start to lose it too. So that's why they have to continuously to masturbating. As much as we say, oh, he's masturbating and he's watching porn and this and that, they need to, just like we need to. You know what I mean? if we don't, and it's like a muscle. If we don't walk every day, if we don't exercise, we don't exercise, even use our brains. People say you do crosswords. If you're not working, you have to do the same thing with that part. But it's never been educated out there to do that. And we need to know that it's okay and it's healthy.
Debbie, did you do, you had this childhood trauma, like adverse childhood experiences, definitely. And there are studies that show that that can really impact the menopause experience. Did you do work on those processing what happened to you when you were a child? And do you feel like that related at all to you being able to expand sexually?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, abandonment is abandonment. And I
What did you
think
do
that
about your abandonment issues? Like how did
I
you
had a
deal
lot
with
of
it?
therapy. I've been over 15 years of therapy. Group therapy was probably my best for me. But I've been through a lot of therapy around this. And I think that that's probably why I had a very tough time having a relationship, because of my abandonment. And I would tolerate a lot more with men because I didn't want them to abandon me. So I would forget about me. It would be all about them. Right. And so I've just in the last, especially what Brian and I have been through in the last few years, I've just said, enough is enough. I need to learn to love me. And I wasn't loving me when I had my first orgasm. Now I'm learning to love me more and understand myself and what my needs are, and trying to say, it's okay. If anyone abandons you, they're really not supposed to be in your life. So, and I am learning to just say, I can't deal with all of this anymore. I don't want this in my life anymore. So but it's taken a long time for me to learn to love myself. It has always been about the other people because I don't want them to leave me. So I'm constantly working on that. It's something that's been a long time. And through that, since I'm learning to love myself, I decided to go and take a look at, why am I being so challenged of focusing as I'm researching more ADHD? And that's what I've been doing. I've been following a lot of things. I'm like going, I said to Brian, I said, Brian, I think I've got ADHD. And I said, I wouldn't be surprised because my mother has bipolar and now she's severe bipolar. My brother's also had some, he was on Ritalin when he was born. He had lots of things going on. I said, and I know I've been really challenged in certain areas. And so I just said, I'm going to get tested. So I don't know if you guys know this, but here in Canada, you have to pay well over $3,000 or get on a list, and it takes forever to find out. And I just didn't want to wait. I've been waiting long enough in my life. So I went on to a system called, what's it called? Talk with Freda. And Talk with Freda is an organization that's out of Alberta, and they service Alberta, BC, and Ontario. And it's an organization of physicians with, what do they call them? Nurse practitioners. And you work with a nurse practitioner and you pay a certain fee, and it's a reasonable fee. I'm going to be honest, it's $600. And you do everything online, and you speak with them on Zoom. You do the whole 9 yards. It's really good. They put me on a first med, and I didn't have a good experience. It actually, I had to get off of it, and it probably took me almost 2 weeks to feel normal again from being off of that. And I've never played with narcotics before, because that's what it is. It's narcotics that they're giving you. Mine was Concerta to start out. Now I'm trying Vyvanse, which a lot of people know already. And I start that hopefully this weekend. But it's something I really needed to do for me. I have this business, and I'm not able to focus. I wasn't able to do what I need to do to help my partner Brian in the business. So I said, I got to take care of me and figure out what's going on. And of course, I have pretty bad ADHD. And I'm really grateful that I have found this out, because it's allowed me to say, there's what was going on with me as a woman. I know I have a reason for it. I now understand it. Sorry.
Okay.
And I just didn't know what it was. And I was really hard on myself and I didn't like myself. And I did have a really tough time loving me. But now that I know what's going on with me and I can get some help with it, it's really making a difference for me. And that's what women need to do. We need to really go inwards and love ourselves and really look at ourselves, because we are beautiful creatures and we really have not been given a good, I don't know what the word I'm trying to find. I guess as women, we haven't been looked at. We've never, we haven't been painted. We've always been second class. That's what I look at. We've been second class. And that's how we look at ourselves, as second class, because that's how the world looked at us. And enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we all need to support one another. The biggest thing is we need to support one another. And that's why I'm here doing this. And I started with a girl and we did a little thing called Pleasure in the City. And we did our first one. And I really wanted to bring women together to talk about what their challenges are with pleasure and with sex and just overall challenges. And we had our first one with 20 women in Toronto on June the 24th. And the girl I did it with, she's 31 and I'm 61. So it was a really nice generation. And I tell you, it was 3 hours and it was the most magical, because we were dealing with all these different cultures. I mean, we had every culture there. And what you learn from one another is so powerful. And it makes you know that you're not alone. You're not alone. And if I can say anything, you're not alone. And I really want to make sure that I get more of the Pleasure in the City out there, because I saw the impact. And I'm telling you, we didn't have any special speakers. We didn't have anything. But I mean, I had women that just wanted to do more exploring. They wanted to explore more, but they were a little nervous. They were a little scared to do that, right? And I was like, well, let's do it together, right? Let's do it together. And so I'm hoping that we can continue this on. If not, I'll create something at another point, but I want to bring this. And even if women could just start this as themselves and bring a couple of girlfriends in and have this, like have a home at once a month or once every quarter, and just get together and just talk about whatever's going on, and don't hold anything back, and know that you're not going to be judged. Make sure that you're in a safe environment where there's no judgment. It's just, you want to listen, and then you want to help any way you possibly can from your own experience, because no one can put you down when you're talking about you.
Well,
right?
We really,
I'm always about the I.
Yeah. Well, we really, I mean, so much of what you say resonates. We just really haven't been taught that our pleasure, or us, was important. And many, many, many women have spent their lives thinking that their thoughts and their desires were wrong somehow.
Yeah.
Their desires for more. Yeah. And so this applies if you're in a marriage or you're single. And I don't think you've ever married.
I've never been married. I never had children.
Me neither. There's not many of us.
Right. I know there isn't. And I was engaged twice. But I just know. And when I met Brian, and, I just said to him, I don't need to get married. Like, it's just not, I've gone this long, you know what I mean? So what, and the more I look at it, I had one couple that I said, oh, if I was ever going to get married, this is the couple I want to be. And they ended up ending as well. And it was horrific. And, I found out all this information later on that she just hid inside, because she didn't want the world to see this. And this is what's going on. And, because of the shame, because of all of these different things. And, she's going through her own struggle, but she's coming out better at the other end. But yeah, it's
tough when you don't do it. It's really tough. I only am realizing it now, how hard it was in my 30s. It's like, no one, it's not something anyone acknowledges. There's now like actually movements of women who didn't get married and have kids who talk about it. And they're not really my cup of tea either. I don't want to make it my thing. It's just that You look
Yeah.
back and you think of the times it was really, really hard and how harsh you were. Like, why can't I do this thing? And I
Mhm.
too am having the same revelations as you, where I thought things were a certain way. And now I think my dad said to me, you must be having some sort of, it must make you feel a certain way when you see these relationships falling apart. I'm like, I don't feel anything other than sorry for my younger self who thought
Yeah.
that was what I needed to do to be part of something, to be an actual person, if that makes
You
sense.
know, it's so funny you say that, because my friend who was married or married 32 years, with him for 40 years, turned around to me and said, Deb, I really admired you to do what you had done, because you're Norman. I said, well, it's really funny because I feel like I'm in the reverse. Like all of my friends that were married are all divorced, right? And they're single, and they don't feel hopeful that they're going to probably find too many men, and from their experience so far, but they're totally okay with that. Most women are. It's the men that are usually not great on them by themselves, right? But the women are fabulous. They're just like, yeah, girl power, let's go. But I'm now the one in a relationship, and you know what I mean? So, and I've been in this relationship for 8 years. And, I always say to my friends, if anything ever happens between Brian and I, for whatever reason, I don't think I would be with another man. I just think that I have learned and grown. And now that I know how to satisfy myself and give me the pleasure that I'm looking for, you can do it all by yourself, and if not better. I understand a lot of women like to have a man for their parts. I get it. I 100% get it. But I've been with a lot of men. I've had my share of men, and I'm grateful for it. I have no regrets of my life, none. And I've been through the war. I have none, because I wouldn't be the person I am today if I didn't.
Well, I always
So
say we were choosing, we just didn't let ourselves know it. We didn't embody it. We were choosing all
yeah,
along the way,
yeah.
but we couldn't do it. And I want to write a book called Everything I Learned About Marriage by Staying Single.
I love
I'll
that.
interview for it. Okay, so last question, and I just want to know a little bit about your menopause and what the experience was like. We're in the middle of like peak menopause is a disaster, I feel. And I'm sure it's cyclical, and every generation thinks that they had it worse. But I just feel like when I look out there, we are being told so much about it. And
Yeah.
I just would like to know a little bit of looking back, what it was like for you, and positives and negatives, and how you feel now.
Well, menopause, well, I couldn't go to my mother to ask her sort of what she went through and so forth, because my mom being bipolar and not remembering a lot, that was a little tough, because a lot of women can go and ask their moms and so forth, but some can't. Um, I I had a tough time, first of all, with emotions. So I was on Zoloft a long time ago when going through therapy. I decided I was in a good place. I can get off of it. So I went off of it. And as soon as I started the menopause, I was crying at the hat. I was sad. And so I finally went to see I was talking to my aunt, to my step aunt, and she was saying, oh, Deb, you got to get on something. I did the same thing. And this is why talking to women really helps, right? I was doing this. I'm like, okay, let me go back to my doctor. I put myself back, or we put on myself back on Zoloft. That evened me out. That really helped me. Um, I think the biggest thing for me that was the toughest was the hot flashes. And I already had anxiety, which I didn't realize until now, but now I know what it was. And in my previous job, I would have to stand in front of people and present product. And it was an hour. I'd have to stand in there and so forth and do the whole show. And I'd have a fan. I'd be like this. And they would all laugh, right? I mean, it was a joke. I didn't mind. It was a funny thing. And they're like, oh, Deb must be having a hot flash, right? It was constant. And, my clothes, I just, because I already get overheated it is, and then you add a hot flash to on top of that, it was stressful. Like I found it really stressful. Thank God I didn't get the night sweats, but I thank God I didn't, because the hot flashes were brutal. And my face would be sweating, and I just couldn't even think properly because I'm just constantly sweating. So that was one that was really bad for me. And then trying to work with the vagina and doing what I wanted to do, but I just kept at it, and I just kept at it, and it persisted, and it worked really well for me beyond my imagination. That in my wildest dreams, it did for me. And I think for me, that's the ones that I can honestly say that were the worst for me going through it. But again, I didn't give myself a lot of attention, right? Because I wasn't important. So, and that's why I probably could give you more if I was more focusing within myself, but I wasn't. But those are the ones that really stand out to me the most. But I didn't have a lot of this, the swings and so forth, because I think I was already going through it with my ADHD. And a lot of the things that, maybe you go through menopause was also created with my ADHD too. I had a lot of anxiety. I still do have more anxiety. And so, yeah, I think that's really what I can really express to myself, to you, when it came to the menopause stages.
And can you separate what you've been through? Is the menopause shift a part of that? Like, there's a lot of feminist writing about, we go through this sort of initiation, there's this return to ourselves, that we were born a certain way. We had intuition, we had knowledge, we had wisdom, and we're kind of returning to it. Or do you feel that sort of emotional, spiritual, psychosocial aspect of it?
I do. And I think a lot of women, as we get into our menopause, and I don't know if it's even menopause, a combination of that and your age, where we just say, I don't give an F. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't give an F. Like, I don't care what you think. I don't care. You know what I mean? And I love that. To me, that's so empowering. And as I say, I don't know if it's just age because of our wisdom, and we get to a certain point, and especially women, as we get into our 50s and menopause. And I'm noticing more and more as women, especially get into menopause, the husbands disappear. The husbands go, no more. Do you know what I mean? And because in my case, men need to be just as educated in menopause as women do. They need to understand exactly what women are going through. And to me, that is so powerful as a couple, and women should be sharing all their knowledge that they're learning about menopause and what they're going through with their husbands, with their partners, whatever that might be. They need to share that. Female, male partner, whatever it is, they need to share that, because men don't understand it. And nor do they, why would they, right? So, but I think a lot of men do want to understand it. And I think that men, if they don't understand it, then they just check out. They check out.
Yeah. And I think you and I, and not having these 25-year relationships, can see something that maybe people in them can't, which is like, he won't want to talk about it. He won't be interested. And it's like, why assume that they're happy as well? Like, why assume that they're okay with it? That'll be in my book, like, you get in these ruts. I can see this with so many of the relationships I know. So don't assume. And it's the hardest thing in the world to bring something like this up, right? To start saying, we need to change how we relate. And I want you to understand me better. I want to understand you better. But from the outside.
And that you're exactly right. And this is why communication is so key. And you need to be, and it talks first thing, vulnerability. You need to be vulnerable with your, you know what I mean? And you need to share that with your partner. You have to, if you cannot be vulnerable with them, then you cannot grow. You cannot go to the next stage. Brian and I have been through so many different stages in our lives together. And Brian says, he's the first one who says to me, I don't think I've ever been able to be my true self with anybody than you. And that's a compliment to me. Do you know what I mean? And I feel the same. I don't want to stop Brian from doing whatever he needs to do. And it's because, why should I? It's his life, right? And if I can't understand that we can't talk through that, what do you have, right? And that's why, and you listen, you watch these silly little shows that I'm watching right now. And I'm going to share one, Too Hot to Handle. I know it's a silly little reality show, But what I love about it is they teach them how to have relationships, especially the younger generation, because the younger generation, they're just hookups, right? They're hookups, and all they want to do is, have sex and do all that. Oh, that's fine. But they don't know how to really connect, and they don't know how to communicate. And I listen to these kids, and they finally bring these specialists in to work with these kids. And I love this. And they share where their fears come from. And it's so interesting. It's from their parents, of course, and their parents' divorce and how their parents treated each other, right? That's where they're come from, that they can't commit. They can't share their vulnerability. They're scared that something's going to happen because they saw the horror that they went through with their family, right? With their parents. It is so interesting. And now these specialists come in and show them how they can actually connect, and that's being vulnerable. And I really believe that if you can be vulnerable with your partner and not be afraid to open up, and it just can be little things. You just start little by little. It makes a huge difference. And especially women out there that have been married more than 10 years, you need to open up and be shared. I've been to shows where women have come in with their husbands, and they're starting to explore the sex clubs. They're starting to explore those things. She goes, well, we're just starting in baby steps. I said, that's really good. But my biggest thing that I say to people, when you go into these sex clubs, don't build up to it. Just go, but have that communication with your partner before you're going in, and put your boundaries. Note your boundaries for one another and respect your boundaries, because that's what a lot of it is about, is respecting one another's boundaries. And then coming out of that experience and talking about it with one another. What did you like? What did you not like? What was your experience like compared to my experience? You know what I mean? What would you have changed? What would you have liked? You go through all of that. And some people's boundaries is like, I don't want to touch. Like my boundaries, if I'm ever going to anyone, and Brian and I, we try sex clubs because we want to explore. We want to understand this world, right? And if you don't go in it, how are you going to know it? And my boundary is, I don't want to be with anybody else there.
Okay.
It's not. I've had lots of men in my life. I don't need to be with another man or another woman. It's not something that I'm interested in. I don't fault anybody for it. I don't even mind watching, but it's not something that I want to do. But Brian, if that's something that you want to do, let's talk about it, right? And then, we do that. And that's what you need to be doing. So that is one of the key things when it comes to anything, is that vulnerability and communication.
Oh, Debbie, you are amazing. I could talk to you all day, and I'm really excited to have you in my sphere world, because you're amazing. Okay. So where can people find Pleasure Pods?
People can find Pleasure Pods on our website right now at thepleasurepods.com. They can also find us. We will be, by the end of August, we should be on Amazon Canada as well too. We will be on Amazon Canada. We will be on Amazon Canada. So I'm going to say September we'll be on Amazon Canada. We are in various retail stores as well too. As I mentioned, Brian and I have been touring all these stores throughout Ontario. And when we were on our tour in Ottawa last week, in Cornwall and Kingston, we picked up a few more stores. So you'll be able to find on our website the stores that you can purchase as well too. We'll have all of those up ready to go in a couple of weeks. So it's available there, and we're just building it. And we're hoping that we're going to be in health food stores. We're hoping that you're going to see us in regular stores as well too, because we are called the Pleasure Pods, and we will be introducing a new product be calling the Body Pods, and that will be for the actual body to nourish, hydrate, and help produce collagen in a natural way with our product.
Okay. Well, I see great things for you. You have, just since we started talking, you've had so many advancements. So I think we're going to be seeing Pleasure Pods everywhere. Thank you so much, Debbie. You're awesome. You're awesome.
Emery, it was such a pleasure. And I hope that you and I can do this again. And let's please stay in touch, because you have touched my heart in many ways. And I love and admire everything that you're doing.
Yeah, same. Okay. Thank you so much.